Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. I want to start today's show by discussing a huge Grogu Easter egg that I did mention back when I was covering Andor Season 1, but that has a major resurgence following the release of Mando Season 3 and Ahsoka, and it's going to be important for Season 4. This is being spoken about again, so I decided to sit down and give you my 2 cents, my own take on this theory, and how it connects to what we do know is going to be a major part of Mando Season 4. And then afterwards, we will cover a bit of Star Wars news. So no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into this. Star Wars Andor takes place nearly 15 years after the events of Order 66. At this time, Grogu had already been taken and hidden. Thanks to Mando Season 3, we now know how he survived and who rescued him, Jedi Master Kelleran Beq. But what we await to find out in flashbacks, presumably in Season 4, is where Kelleran took him next. Who are the friends Kelleran mentioned? Are they connected to Quinn and Voss and the origins of the secret underground path? Or given the Season 3 flashback on Coruscant, is Kelleran taking Grogu to Naboo? And an even bigger question, how does Grogu go on to survive for the next 28 years, before his first appearance in The Mandalorian Season 1 on Arvala 7 when Din Djarin finds him? Ahsoka Tano mentions Grogu's mind went dark, and for a long time he cut himself off from the Force. This tells me that hiding Grogu after the Great Jedi Purge, initiated by the new Emperor of the Galaxy Darth Sidious, was a bumpy ride for our green little friend, one which probably saw the deaths of several of those whose hands he passed through. Well, it seems as though a throwaway line in Andor Season 1 may indicate that Lucasfilm is intent on telling this story in some way, shape or form. But it should be said that for Tony Gilroy, this line could have just been a nod and nothing more. He has given credit to other creatives apart from himself at Lucasfilm for making wider connections to stories within the scope of the larger Star Wars universe. For example, all of the Easter eggs in Luthen's antique shop on Coruscant. In Season 1, Episode 4 Aldani, which for the record is one of the best written Disney Plus episodes to date. While reporting to his superior Major Partagaz, Supervisor Lagrit gives a status report about the planet of Arvala 6 in relation to Imperial mining. He states that a known previous conflict on the planet has been put to rest, and their mining work has resumed. The ISB officer also mentions people being displaced, which hints at arrests or relocating citizens from Arvala 6 to another planet, maybe within the same system, such as the desolate and barren Arvala 7, the planet Grogu was later found on in Mando Season 1. So what is the big connection? While Arvala 7 was never explicitly demonstrated to possess any remnants of Imperial mining, one very important book, The Art of Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 1, describes Arvala 7 as an old abandoned mining town. Jon Favreau had spoken with Doug and Rick Famuyiwa and expressed interest in fleshing out the planet's backstory to make it feel lived in, as if there is a rich history there. And this may filter down into the imagination of other creatives, like Pablo Hidalgo when crafting larger narratives about certain planets in other series like Andor. Arvala 7 is still important for The Mandalorian, even 3 seasons on, and 1 book of Boba Fett later. Jon and Dave deliberately placed Grogu there, and I can't imagine it was a random decision. If they are keen on telling the full scale of time between Order 66 and when Grogu met Din in these flashbacks, they need a reason why he ended up there. When we find Grogu, he is secured in a safe house under the protective guard of Nikto bandits. So if we connect the dots, since this planet is confirmed to have been a mining town in the same system as Arvala 6, there is an established, well-drawn connection that now exists between the Empire's reign and Grogu's story. This becomes even more curious when you consider the circumstances of The Mandalorian Season 1, the way the Imperial Remnant chose to hunt him down. They sent bounty hunters after him, rather than using their own forces. Even more curious, IG-11's commission specifically stated that Grogu ought to be terminated, despite the client offering Din the choice of dead or alive. The history between Arvala 7 and the Empire might be complicated. I'm dying to know how Grogu ended up there, what happened to Kelleran Beq. We're probably going to see these flashbacks in Mando 4. And now that Mando and Grogu are hunting down Imperial warlords, there could be some more connections to his past. Others out there who used to work for the ISB, just like the late Moff Gideon, and this could be the start of more tensions. I think season 4 is going to be very fascinating. You know, we so often talk about The Bad Batch being the show where our main characters are always on the run, but the next phase of the Mandoverse could do the same thing for Din and Grogu, because putting themselves out there as mercenaries for the New Republic puts Grogu in danger as well, and I imagine a character like Grand Admiral Thrawn would absolutely love to get his hands on a Yoda species. Thrawn was obsessed with various cultures, their art, their history, stealing the aspects he loves. This was also translated to the character of Moff Gideon. You see, while the likes of Gideon and Dr. Pershing knew how valuable Grogu was as an asset for his midichlorian count, I don't know if they knew the implication of being in possession at one stage of a Yoda species child. They're extremely scarce, and almost no one, certainly not Gideon or Pershing, knew their origins, the nature and history of their species, how long they've been about. But something tells me Grand Admiral Thrawn might, not just because he has a fascination with building his own databank and using resources of the Empire of old, but also because he was in touch with the Great Mothers and he spent time on Peridia, where I theorized the Yoda species might be from. And look, I get it, it's a George Lucas secret that probably Dave Filoni knows, and they're not going to ever reveal this in canon. So maybe if Din and Grogu do come across Thrawn, he's going to be fascinated by a species he's aware of, but knows very little about. He's probably going to want to kidnap and use Grogu for his own ends. There's no telling for sure how this meeting would go. Who knows what knowledge he's gained from being in contact with the Night Sisters, and in his character lies this deep obsession with relics and rare species. You've got to imagine Grogu is one of them. We might have a similar situation to season 2, where Grogu is kidnapped and Mando and our allies are going to have to go after him again. And this prospect is why I find it a shame Pedro Pascal is probably not returning for the 4th season, because I would love to see some more helmetless Din. He's atoned for his sins, but notes that the rules may be more flexible since the return of Mandalore. The Armourer, when initiating Ragnar into the Creed at the end of the season, omitted the line, swearing to keep his helmet on. But even after Din Djarin is forgiven in the living waters, there may come emergency situations where he needs to remove his helmet. And it's in those moments, those very scenes in seasons 1 and 2, that you tend to feel Din Djarin's humanity on a more personal, heartfelt level. That is something I missed in season 3, and Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder do a great job, but Pedro Pascal in the role is fantastic. I'm sure he's going to return for Dave's film though, and eventually Din Djarin probably will sacrifice himself for the child. Mando once said, "Wherever I go, he goes." And now as a Mandalorian apprentice, the child is about to learn some of his most important lessons under Din, having fully embraced his Mandalorian identity and left his Jedi identity of old in the past. He's still going to wield the Force, but the galaxy is a dangerous place, and Thrawn's return to the known galaxy doesn't just pose a threat for the central headquarters of the New Republic like Mon Mothma, Leia, and Hera Syndulla, but also for the likes of Grogu. In other Star Wars updates, we have some more behind the scenes for the Ahsoka show. Ariana Greenblatt, young Ahsoka in the Clone Wars flashbacks, having a good time behind the scenes with Hayden Christensen, with a big smile on his face, Anakin Skywalker. She gave a fantastic performance. I'm hoping for her sake, in future seasons, if we do get more Clone Wars flashbacks, that she is a prominent part of them. She is now part of the Star Wars family. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.